Video, and today we are going to learn about Hello, it's the Critter Keeper and we are live back for another live stream video, and today we are going to learn about lizards. So as you can see here we have Drogon the Bearded Dragon. Now you might have seen him last week when we did the reptile video. So Drogon here, I'm not going to talk about Drogon because we've already talked about bearded dragons, so you can look back on that video if you want to learn a bit more about bearded dragons. But I thought I'd just have him sit because he's pretty good sitting on the table there. Now this is an opportunity for me to tell you quite a long lizard joke, but it'll just drag on. Right, so we're going to say goodbye to Drogon for now. Bye Drogon, where's your box? Okay, yeah, so we're going to talk about lizards. So you saw that Drogon Bearded Dragon. You get loads of different types of lizards. The biggest lizard in the world is the Komodo dragon. So it's a monitor type lizard that can grow to an impressive 3 meters long. Big lizard, that's the biggest lizard in the world. But you get small lizards too. Majority of small lizards are called geckos. And that's what we're going to show you first. So in here we have Google, and Google is my crested gecko. Now he's pretty fast, so there he goes. So hopefully, right, here we go. So hopefully Google will behave himself here as I talk about the crested gecko. So crested geckos are found in the New Caledonian Islands, so mainly in the jungles and rainforests there. Now geckos are quite unusual lizards. They're super fast, as you can see, and they can jump. Excellent climbers, the majority of geckos. The word gecko actually comes from, I believe it's an Asian word, I think, that it's to relate to the sound, because geckos are some of the only lizards that can actually be vocal and make a lot of sounds. So they can make clicking sounds, even squeaks like a squeaky toy, to call other geckos. There he goes, running, come on. As you can see, they're quite good at running and jumping. Oh, toys off. Let me see if I can get that. If you go back to the camera a little bit now, grab it here. That's good. Okay, let's just talk about him without him being there. So geckos are amazing animals. As you can see, they're super quick. I thought he might do that, but hey, I'll catch him in a minute. There's not really anywhere he can go. If I do see him, spot him, I'll grab him. Now, the amazing thing about geckos as well, their ears, you can actually look in a hole in their ear and you can actually see right through the other side. Which is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Donald Trump. Now, also their feet. This is a pretty cool, neat trick. Now, a lot of people think that geckos, they have sticky feet. They don't actually have sticky feet. They actually have little tiny microscopic hairs all on their feet. They will actually cause electromagnetic charges. So if you take a balloon and you blow the balloon up, and then you put the balloon on your head, and you rub it on your head, and then you pull the balloon away, your hair sticks to the balloon. So that's called static electricity. And that's what their little feet do, is they actually cause a little magnetic charges, electromagnetic charges, and that's what allows them to stick to any surface, which is pretty cool, really neat. So it's like tiny little almost superhero powers that they have. And that's why geckos are so good at climbing on surfaces. And not all geckos can do this, because things like the leopard gecko and things like frog-eyed geckos, they don't have those special feet. The majority of geckos as well are don't have any eyelids, so they don't have any eyelids. So how they clean their eyes is actually they use their tongues. So that they stick their tongue up and they will lick and clean their eyeballs using their tongues, which is a bit weird, but also pretty cool. Also, geckos can drop and lose their tail. It's a defense mechanism, and majority of geckos, if they lose their tail, it will regrow and regenerate, which is pretty cool. But the crested gecko, which is Dunner Runner, if he loses his tail, it will never regenerate, never grow back. So yeah, you can see that Drogon here is making an awful lot of noise in his box down there, squeaking away, so you can hear that. So yeah, that's geckos. So pretty cool, amazing animals. I think I can see him moving here, so let's see if I can grab him. Let me just keep the camera there, Mackenzie, and I'll see if I can grab him. In fact, I'm going to go around this side and I'm going to grab it. Just I don't want him running around. There, he hurts himself. Just bear with us. 2 seconds. Alright, catch him. Yeah, he's down the back of the radiator. Right. Okay, we've got him. He's back in a box, so we'll leave him there. Okay, right, we're going to talk about some more different types of lizards now. And we're going to talk about the chameleon. The chameleon. Now, the word chameleon is actually a Greek word, and it means ground lion. Now, I don't get this. I don't know why they're called ground lions, because they don't look anything like a lion. So I don't know why they get the name the ground lion. I thought it would have been something to do with like their ability to change colour or something like that, but no, ground lion, so I don't get it. But yeah, that's why they're called chameleons. Now, chameleons are famous for changing colour, but they don't change colour like you think they do. A lot of people think chameleons change to blend in or disappear into their environment. They don't. They actually change colour to communicate. Because chameleons are actually deaf, they don't have any ears, they can communicate with one another by changing colour. So that's why. So you can actually tell the mood of a chameleon just by the colour he is. So usually a bright green chameleon, the bright here is like the same colour as my top. A nice bright green colour tells us that he's a happy chameleon. When they get spots or go darker shades of like almost black or brown, there's usually they're a bit angry. So I do have a chameleon with me. I'm going to show you the chameleon. First of all, I'm going to talk about how they actually change colour, because it's pretty cool. They obviously have pigments of skin that have individually can change colour. So that's why you can get spots on them, and they can have stripes on them, or they can just be one colour, like just green, which is cool. So the two layers of skin actually will combine to allow them to change colours, which is really, really cool. I mean, I could talk about chameleons for hours, because they're such a fascinating creature, and really, really cool. But I do have a chameleon I'm going to show you. We're going to have a look at him. It's Pascal. Pascal's gone climbing up here. Now, I'm not to worry about this one escaping, because chameleons are extremely slow-moving lizards. Don't want to fall, look, come here. So here we go. I will let you guys have a closer look at this one, because this one's no chance of this one running or jumping away. So I will get closer to you guys so you can see him. Now, when I first took him out there, you can see that he was actually quite a bright green colour, so he's quite happy. Now, just now I can see that he has started to change. I don't know if you can see it from that side. It's more my side. I don't know if you can see that, the black stripes and the black spots. That's telling me he's a little bit angry with me. Because I've picked him up. So he's a bit wary, a bit angry. Now these guys are what you call an arboreal species of lizard, which means they live in trees. So they are specially adapted for living in the trees. They have these clamped feet for clamping hold of the branches and leaves. And you can see that he's wrapped his tail around my finger here. That gives him an extra, almost like a fifth hand. So that's a bit like a safety rope. So if he loses his footing, he doesn't fall to the forest floor. Now, Excellent climbers. When a chameleon is in a tree, it's usually their tree. So there's usually only really one chameleon per tree. If other chameleons venture into their tree, that's when they get a little bit angry, and they can change colour quite drastically, especially male ones. They're very territorial. They do want to try and attract females, but if a male wanders in, they'll get pretty angry with it, and they will display some quite dark colours. So like I say, when he's happy, he's a nice bright green colour, so you can see that he's starting to change more to a lighter shade of green, so he's starting to calm down, so he seems quite happy and content now on my hand. The best that I see whenever I go into the chameleon's enclosure, especially at night time, when they're sleeping, because they sleep at night time, they're usually really bright, because they're so content. Obviously when they're sleeping, they're totally calm, having good dreams, so they go a nice bright green colour for us. Now their eyes, amazing eyes. These eyes can move independently of one another, which means his right eye could look up at the ceiling, left eye could look down at the floor. They don't have to look at the same thing at the same time, and they have a 360-degree line of sight, so they can see all around them, which is amazing without even moving their heads. So that is pretty cool. Another really cool feature of the chameleon is his tongue. Now he does have a really long tongue. Now I do have some bugs now in rehearsal. Pascal here was spot on, and he was taking bugs off my hand, so I'm hoping, but we are live, so there's not much I can do. You've already seen a gecko running off live on air, so I can't guarantee if Pascal here will have a bug for us, but I do have some more mealworms. The big mealworms are coming out again, and I'm going to place this just down in front of him, and hopefully Pascal will see the bug and he will go for it. So I move my hand here, and I'm going to just leave the bug on my hand, and hopefully Pascal will spot this bug. We'll see if he goes. Both his eyes need to lock on, so all his eyes are moving around at the moment. Both my eyes need to lock on. So once his eyes lock on, that means he's happy. Yeah, he's in it. Here we go. See this. See it. Go for it. We just got down there. And go. Pascal. You did good. Was it not far away from me? Pascal. Here we go. Boom. So there you go. See that shot and shoot down from 2 times more than and so I put the bug further away, and he's still coming out and it's like I got one so that's not a good thing on it. And then his position is calm, he just shoots out, he grabs the line and then pull it great, and then he brings it back, so he drop away back. So you can see these guys are excellent hunters, despite being very slowly around. I'll let you guys go closer to this now. It's much better. See him there. And that goes close up. Yeah. So you see one back there. These guys are actually more horse, which means they can look up also flat well. They will one-shot these. And they quite difficult. They need a special things you like things like that, and they're actually from the Arabian Peninsula, so places like Yemen and Saudi Arabia, and they found mainly in jungles and forests there. And so they are used to 3 or 4 when very hot, and during the evening it's quite cool where they live. And then these guys also, when you keep them as pets, they don't replace standing water. So you can't have a waterfall in their enclosure. They don't recognize it. They actually, in the wild, they or drink juice of the leaves that are more juice of the leaves that you have some kind of drip system. So it's a drop to the leaves, so they get a drink. Unfortunately, they don't have a long lifespan. Chameleons live about 5 to 6 years. So you can say they come and go. So that's now super cool animal. I do like aliens. He's nowhere near fully grown. Yes, it's me. I've had quite a few aliens in my care. It's a long white, the lifespan's not long enough to they get a certain age. And then pass away, so I do place an alien should be like having an alien in my guess it's an amazing animals. So this one here is about a year and a half old. Not legally and up to around about up to 24 inches. The males are quite big. And obviously the male 6 inches go around behind them, spread the tail around as well. So you're going to go that is Pascal, the big. So we say behind Pascal. Used to be very boy and playing Pascal for sure. Super long tongue. Alright. Okay, last one now. Last one. This last one is a pretty impressive lizard. Unfortunately, my favourite lizard of all time that I've ever owned or had in my care was Smaug, a big red iguana, and he was my favourite. But sadly, he passed away last year. Not long after he passed away, we managed to get or rescue two other iguanas that were being kept in a cupboard. Now, because of their early life, they weren't being looked after properly, so they weren't as super tame as my previous red iguana. But over time, he has got a little bit better, so I'm hoping he will behave for us. So iguana, I want to show you iguana. Right. I put my gloves on for this one because he has got very sharp claws. Come on then. Okay. He has got a little bit of water dripping off him, but that's just water in the bottom of his tub. Okay, so here we go. This is Redzilla, and Redzilla is my red iguana. So red iguanas are found in Costa Rica, which is in Central America. But you find iguanas all through Central and South America, but they're mainly green in colour. So if you're ever lucky enough to go on holiday places like Mexico, you're going to see the green iguanas there. There's quite a lot of them. But you also get them in blue, yellow too. So they do vary in colour, but it's all down to region. So like I say, Costa Rica is where you're going to find the red iguana. Now, he is not fully grown yet. He's only around about roughly 4 years old. These guys can live for about 20 years. So yeah, it's a long-term commitment for one of these guys. They do not make good pets. Redzilla here, he's been very well behaved, and this is quite unusual for him because recently he's been quite aggressive towards me because it's breeding season for him and he's very territorial. But he seems to have passed through that stage. But don't make good pets because they are actually herbivores, which means they're plant eaters. So they only eat plants and the occasional fruit. But that doesn't mean that they're not dangerous. They have a few weapons. Obviously the sharp claws they have, that's why I'm wearing the gloves so he doesn't scratch my hands and arms when he's climbing on me. Two, they have a very powerful bite. Lots of little sharp teeth designed to rip leaves off trees, so it could give you a nasty bite if it really wanted to, but his best weapon is actually that tail. He can use that tail like a whip, and it's very sore if you get hit with an iguana tail. like I said, Redzilla has been pretty well behaved just recently, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about him. I have been on the end of being whacked by an iguana's tail, and it is very sore. It's just bone, so it's solid, so it can just give you a nasty injury. They can lose that tail a bit like the gecko, because they use their tail for a weapon to protect themselves. They can damage that tail pretty badly. So what happens is they just drop the damaged part off, and it will regenerate. So which is pretty neat. Like I said, this lizard we rescued from being kept in a cupboard, along with another iguana. And now there are signs of him from living in a cupboard, because unfortunately he does have quite a few scars down his back, and that's because he's not being kept in the right conditions. They shed their skin. All lizards shed their skin. They don't do it like a snake does. They do it in one go. No, a snake does it in one go. These guys do it in clumps, so it comes off in patches. So 1 week, a bit of his arm could come off. Another week, his bits of his tail could come off. So if you don't help them have the correct moisture to help them shed their skin, it can cause quite a lot of problems and cause scarring, and that's what's happened. And unfortunately, you'll never lose those scars. The other thing is, well, down the back here, he has spikes. Now these spikes should be up about here, but they're short and stubby, and that's another reason for him being kept in a cupboard without the correct lighting. Those spikes have stunted in growth. But since I've had him, it'll be about a year in July since we've had him. Those spikes have grown slightly. So hoping that they will come back to their former glory as he grows, which is what I'm hoping for. There's a big bit of skin underneath his chin here. This is called a dewlap. When he feels a bit mean and intimidated, he will pull that dewlap out, and that will make him look a bit bigger. He'll also go up on his legs, make his body quite flat looking, larger, and also bring his tail around ready to whack. And the spikes as well, if he had big spikes, they would be up right on top of his head as well. People often ask me, what about the big circular bits at the side of his head? And these are called subtympanic shields, and they don't serve any purpose. They are actually just an extra large scale. I do have my own theory on why they have these. Birds do obviously attack lizards like these. Birds of prey also, but a lot of birds, when they attack, they do go for the eyes. And I'm thinking from a distance, those big circles kind of look like eyes, so it might deflect possibly any damage getting done to their real eyes. So that's just my own theory though. So there we go. That is Redzilla. He's super cool, isn't he? Very well behaved, Redzilla. He might even let's see if he'll give me a kiss. He did. He licked me. So there we go. Yeah, so they actually use their tongue to taste, so they'll lick surfaces and just have a little taste to see where they are and what's surroundings. So you cannot get accustomed, you cannot buy an enclosure, because these guys can be bought in pet shops. Little baby lizards, people buy them, don't realise just how big they get. You cannot buy an enclosure for an iguana. They have to be custom made. They're not big enough, so you'll buy an enclosure in the pet shop, they quickly outgrow that enclosure, and then you don't know what to do with them, so they end up getting abandoned or given away. People like myself take them into care. So if you're handling an animal like this, you need to really know your stuff, know what you're doing, and spend a lot of money on getting a custom made enclosure, which we have. We've got a corner unit for the two iguanas that we have. There we go, Redzilla. Super cool. I'll let you guys have a closer look. Come on, bring it closer. There we go. So there's Redzilla, the red iguana. So obviously iguanas are found all over the world and in other places as well, but this is the common iguana, or red iguana. Green iguana is the common one. But you do get marine iguanas as well, so the ones that you see in the likes of the Galapagos Islands that dive underground or underwater, and they in the sea to eat the seaweed, and they are the marine iguanas. But they have evolved from the common iguana, just over millions of years. Cool. So there we go. That is Redzilla. I think we will say goodbye to Redzilla. Come on in, buddy. So Redzilla doesn't want to go back in his box. There you go. Good job. I get my hand back. Okay, so there we go. That is all the lizards that we have today to show you. So homework time. See what you guys can give me today. I know that obviously you love doing the pictures, so today I want you to draw a chameleon. You can make the chameleon whatever colour you want, and draw me a chameleon. See how you get on with that. Also, you know how obviously I like to tell jokes. Give me your best animal jokes. So that's what you guys can do. I want you to flood my my comment section with all your jokes and make me laugh. But obviously keep the jokes suitable for children, and any jokes that aren't suitable will be removed, because obviously we've got a lot of children watching just now. So nice jokes for me, please, and that's your homework. So I think we'll just end that there with one of my favourite songs. Hit it.